Hi everybody, Jujukittychick here. So today I decided to do a tutorial on how to post a fic to Archive of Our Own, otherwise known as AO3, just as either new information for those who maybe haven't posted a fic there yet, or for those who haven't really played around with all of the settings yet, are maybe unclear as to why their fic isn't looking like it's supposed to, or they're not able to get it to do what they're wanting it to. For example, I've run across several fics where it says, it's a completed fic, it's a completed story, chapter 5 of 5. Great. But then you get to chapter 5 and you find out, oh no, I've still got like 2 more chapters to go. Okay, well, why is it marked as being complete? And they go, oh, well, I don't know how to change that. I'll go into that. Or why isn't my formatting coming across correctly? Little things like that. So I'll be going through the whole fic process from start to finish. So first off, you need to be in Archive of Our Own. I'm assuming you've already set up a profile, and this will be your main dashboard screen. You have your profile section and your dashboard section. From your dashboard, it's your overview of everything. It'll show the fandoms you've written in. It's your top 5 most the top 5 that you've written in. If you hit expand, it goes down from there. It's like I have 1 in each of these other ones. Over here on the side, you have your profile, how many works you've written, if you have any that are still sitting around in drafts, how many series you've written, which your works are part of your series. Bookmarks, any fiction, any stories that you've bookmarked to keep track of for whatever reason. But for today, we're posting stories. So back to dashboard. There's 2 ways to do it. You can come up to the top between your name and the login, logout, and go to post. New work or import work. I haven't used import. I'm assuming it's if you have it posted on another site, like maybe fanfiction.net, you could do it that way. Otherwise, click new work and go from there. If you're on dashboard or profile, you can click on post new and it'll take you there. Yeah, import from an existing website. Rating. Your rating is just like your movie ratings, pretty much. General audiences, kids and up can see it. There's no violence, no, sexual content. It's just suitable for everybody. Teen and up, they classify teens as, 13. So, yeah, it's your PG-13. There's probably a little bit of mild cussing, maybe, a little bit of fighting, somebody gets punched. Nothing too graphic. There's not going to be any graphic descriptions of anything. That's where those will fall. Mature. Rated R. There's sex, there's violence, there's horror, whatever. It's not overly detailed, but it's there. For example, in a fight scene, you might talk about, he punched him in the face, his nose broke, blood was, over his face. Under explicit, you may get more detailed than that. Same with sex. So yeah, explicit is for graphic sex, graphic violence, the graphic horror elements. Um, that's where that's going to fall. So you pick one. Archive warnings. Once again, click on the little question mark and it'll answer most of your questions for it. You have no archive warnings apply. If it does not fall into one of these, 4 categories, then you can click no archive warnings apply. You can choose not to use archive warnings. Personally, I prefer that people do. It doesn't bother me, but there are people out there that are triggered by mentions of rape. There are people out there that have problems with underage work or major character death. They don't want to see their favorite character dying. They don't want to see graphic violence. So, it's your prerogative being the author. You can choose not to use them. But, use your best judgment. But yeah, otherwise, click whatever applies and go to the next step. Fandoms. This is where you enter in your fandom. You can enter in multiple. You can enter in one. If you have a crossover fic, you would enter in 2. If it's, say Teen Wolf and Avengers, which is actually a pretty popular crossover, this is how you would do it. If you go, you know what, it's just Teen Wolf, click on the X, it goes away. If the fandom you're writing for has several different sources, for lack of a better term, you will also find that in here. For example, under Avengers, you have the Marvel movies, MCU, you have the comics, you have ambiguous fandom, which I think is hilarious, and then you have all media types. All media types meaning it encompasses all of those. So if you're pulling from, a little bit from comics, a little bit from the cartoons, a little bit from the movies, you can use the all media types. If you're like me and you don't know anything except the MCU, you can pick the Marvel movies. Honestly, when people are searching for fics under the search section, if the character or pairing, whatever they're searching for under that fandom, if you have Avengers, it's still going, even if you pick Marvel movies and it's under comics, I'm pretty sure it'll still pull them up. It'll just have them listed differently. So we'll go with Marvel movies today. Categories. It's pretty much straightforward. Female, 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 male, general. There are no romantic or sexual relationships or relationships which are not the main focus of the work. Yeah, the couple may be married, but it's more about the couple going on vacation and doing things. It's there, but it's not the focus. Or, the parents are married, but, the parents are in the background. The story's about the kids. So it's there, but, it's not a big deal. Male, male, multi, meaning any combination of male, female, or other, as long as there's more than 2. Other relationships, usually that's where you get your aliens, supernatural monsters, generally anything that wouldn't necessarily be classified as one of the others. That being said, I guess non-binary could fall into that, or fluid. I would assume that it could be classified under there as well, but I usually see it more in terms of non-human characters. Relationships. Let's see. Here we go. Relationships. You can see what the top relationships are for Steve Rogers. When you're doing your relationships, one big thing to keep in mind, the slash mark means slash. There's a romantic or sexual connotation to that relationship. They are hooking up, they are going to hook up, they are madly in love, they just met, it's a meet cute, whatever. It's for a relationship. And the little and sign down here, that means they're friends. They're bros, they're pals, whatever. They are not in a romantic relationship. There's nothing like picking a story going, hey, I want to read this pairing being in love, and you start reading and the author just picked the wrong one or decided they didn't care and picked it anyway. And they're just friends. And it's like, that's not what I wanted to read. So keep that in mind when you're tagging for your relationships. The slash sign does mean romantic or sexual. The and sign means friendship. It doesn't mean you can't have both. Because you could do Steve Rogers / Tony and Steve Rogers and Tony. But if there is going to be an actual relationship between them, make sure you use slash. Once again, you can pick multiple options on here. Peter Parker and Tony Stark. So you've got Bucky and Steve as a couple, and Tony and Peter, mentor Tony with, Peter, his, apprentice. That kind of thing. Characters. Any characters that are in your story would go here. That being said, list your main characters first. Whoever is, your main character, will go with Steve and Bucky. I know you don't like it. There we go. Alright. Well, who else do they meet? If somebody has actual, screen time, that's where you would want to put them. If they're just background characters, they have things like, if it was under Harry Potter, there's things like Hogwarts. Here we go. Hogwarts students, Hogwarts staff. You have options like that where they're background characters. They're there, but they're not important. You don't need to list every single person. In Teen Wolf, you have the pack, or Derek Hale's pack, or the McCall pack, or the Alpha pack. Instead of listing Erica and Isaac and Boyd, you can just say the pack. If they're not actually getting any real screen time, they're just kind of there in the background. Once again, if you mistype something, you change your mind, X them out. Additional tags. This is where you enter in the details of things that you want to let people know about. For example, team is family. Tony Stark acting as Peter Parker's parental figure. Other options. So that's where you can do things like meet cute, hurt comfort, angst, sad, sad fic, song fic, whatever those are, you can put those in there. Don't go too crazy with it, because then you just wind up with a block of text at the start of your story listing, and it can get annoying. If you're trying to tag something and you're not sure if there's one already there, try giving it a couple different options. Sometimes, or rewording things a little bit. Sometimes you'll find it that way. Work title, it's exactly that. Here, we'll do this. It's the title of your work. Creators, pseudonyms, that's your username. If you are working with a co-creator, somebody has helped you write this fic, you're taking equal credit for it, you click that little check mark right there, and you enter in their name. If you can't remember exactly how their name is spelled, start typing. It'll pull it up. And then just click one. That happens to be a friend of mine. And, that's how you add a co-creator to it. Summary is the summary of your story. How you want to list this is up to you. Some people do, exactly what it says, a summary of their story. Some people do excerpts of it, sometimes it's the first paragraph of their story. That's entirely up to you, what you feel comfortable with. Notes. At the beginning, if you want to leave an author's note, you have the option of leaving one at the beginning, at the end, or both. You just have to click the little tick mark and start writing. If you want to do things like include a link, well, if you want to make something italic, or bold, or include, a link to something, you can do that. But you have to use HTML tags. So, you'll have your regular text under there, but anything you can do with HTML tags, you can do in here. Just keep in mind there is a set limit on how many characters you can enter. So if you've got a long link website, that's going to eat up some of your characters. If you have a collection or a challenge that you're wanting your story to be included in, this is where you would click it. Like it says, if you're not sure, start typing. For me, I am a member of the 1 million words group, so I can look for 1 million, type 1 million and there's all of their things, depending on what I'm looking for. There is, however, they have, let's see, one of the things, and this is kind of what I was mentioning before, is that if you're not sure of what something may be named, give it a try, spelling it a couple of different ways, because it might show up like this, 1 million words. You saw all the other listings that were listed the other way. Well, I had to type it in spelling out 1 in order to find their actual base, basic selection. So if you're not sure of the spelling, just keep kind of trying around with it a little bit, and eventually you might find it. Gift this work to. Somebody commissioned a work from you, somebody inspired you, you wrote a fic for your friend's birthday. This is where you type it in. Once again, I'm going to borrow my friend, type in their name. There you go. Change your mind, exit out. If you were inspired by a fic you read, you read a fic, you got a great idea from it, you wrote your own fic, you want to say that it was inspired by them. If it was a story on archive, on AO3, you just have to put in the website. If you got it from anywhere else, apparently you have to fill in all this other stuff. If you've made a podfic, well, like it says, you've made a translation of something, or a podfic of something, or a video, whatever. If it came from something, an existing fic, this is where you would list it. And you just click this little tick mark off to the side over here. If you have a series, like for me, I have a A to Z series. Each story starts with a different letter of the alphabet. So it's a 26, essentially, book series. You would click this and come over here and pick whichever series it's part of. There's my A to Z. I have, a couple where I have, 2 or 3 different stories under this series of, this one particular series. If you are wanting to create a series, just type in the name. This is the one that seems to give people issues. This work has multiple chapters. Click that button. If your work is going to have more than one chapter, click that button. If you don't know how many chapters it's going to eventually have, that's fine. You don't have to even guesstimate on it. Leave it blank. Leave that little question mark right there. And as you write, it'll say chapter 1 of question mark, chapter 5 of question mark, 17, whatever. But people will know your story is not finished. If you know how many chapters there are going to be, you know for a fact there's going to be 5, enter in 5. You can always come back and change this. You go to the edit function and you can change this. So, you get to chapter 5 and you go, you know what? I'm going to do an epilogue. We'll make this 6. It's not that hard. That's all there is to it. But if it is going to be a multi-chapter story and it is not finished yet, please make sure you note that, because there's nothing like going into a story going, you know what, I don't want to read another in-progress story. I want to read a story and be done. And you start reading and it's going good and you get to the last chapter and the story is not done yet. And in the author's note, it's like, oh yeah, I think there'll be, 3-4 more chapters. Why didn't you tag this? This is how you fix that. Language. Exactly what it says. Choose whatever language you are writing in. Please do this, because there's nothing like finding a fic that says it's written in English, only to turn out it is not. Please choose the correct language. Work skins, I know absolutely nothing about. I am not an expert in AO3. This I know nothing about. They do have tutorials on how to use it. I haven't ever used it. Privacy. Only show your work to registered users. Basically, they have to have a username and login. They have to be a member of AO3. If that's all you want to be able to read your fic, click the button. Enable comment moderation. Basically, any comments that are left on your fic go into a holding cell, for lack of a better term. You are then able to read those comments, and then if you want them to be visible on your fic, you can accept them. Otherwise, I guess you can delete them or leave them invisible, to the public anyway. Some people who, I guess, have been flamed a lot or maybe received a lot of negative messages over time wind up clicking that so they don't have to, deal with it, or they don't have to have it on their story where anybody can read it. Excuse me. I know some people have said that they click on it because it messes with their anxiety to have all of these messages, and this way it just sets it, I guess, in a separate folder and they can ignore it. To each their own. Because you can't actually you can't turn off comments. So there's different ways of doing things. Who can comment? Registered users, actual members of AO3, and guests, people who aren't logged in or don't have accounts. Anybody can read your story. Only registered users can comment. You have to be a member. No one can comment. Personally, I think if you have issues with anxiety or anything along those lines where seeing all of these messages from people bother you, that might be the better option. That way you don't have to deal with it at all. Of course, with that, you're not getting any of the good comments or the bad comments. So, that's a personal preference. Personally, I've always left it on anybody can comment. All right, this is the important part. A lot of people that say, hey, my formatting went weird, there's either an issue going between the program you wrote the document in and then transferring it over to here, or you typed it in the wrong area. Up here in the upper right hand corner, rich text HTML. If you type anything in HTML section, there will be no formatting. Over here in rich text, this is slow to load sometimes. This is basically your standard document kind of format. You've got left, center, right, justified. You can make bullet points, bold, italic, underline. Let's see, just to give an example. You have all of this formatting in here. If you have typed up your story and you have, things set up a certain way, well, there we go. You have your title centered, though you don't really need it, but you have something centered. You have things in bold. You have things italicized. If your fic is posted under HTML, you're going to lose all of it. Your spacing, your formatting, all of it. This is what you get versus that. So if you're having problems with your formatting disappearing, make sure you're in the rich text section when you're copy pasting your document, because there's a big difference. If you are wanting to add a link to something, just highlight whatever it is, click the little chain link over here, and you can enter in your website, hit save. If you want to enter in a picture, if you are entering in a picture, you have to have a website for that picture. Not the picture itself has to have a website or a web link, I should say. It has to have something dot JPEG dot whatever, but it has to have its own web link for that picture in order for it to work. Otherwise, if it's just here's the page that it's posted on, it's not going to work. But I'll go into that in a different video, I think. So once you have all of your stuff entered in, you can come here and click preview. That's funny. So yeah, if you have anything in here that doesn't work, it won't let you go forward. Okay, it took Daryl off. Language cannot be blank. There we go. Yeah, so you have to choose something under the warnings. It literally will not let you post anything if you don't choose something. And then hit preview. I always suggest going to preview before posting. That way you can make sure things are actually set up correctly. As you see here was our HTML formatting under the author's notes section. There's the link, which, nope, I probably typed it wrong. You know, there's the bad formatting that didn't come across. There's the formatting that did come across. So, you know, you can look at it and go, okay, well, hey, I missed entering in a character, or hey, I missed entering in a relationship. I need to add another tag. Read through your story. Take the extra 5, 10, 20 minutes. Read through your story. Make sure there's no errors. Make sure that the formatting came across correctly. Make sure that in the copy-paste process, a sentence didn't get cut off. I've seen that happen a lot of times. My helper. So, you know, take that extra time. You're putting your story out into the world. Don't you want it to be as good as it can be? If after all of that, everything looks good, click on post. If you're not quite sure, you want to work on it some more, hit save as draft. If you spotted something quick and easy and, hey, you know what, I want to go back and fix this, you hit edit and you're back where you started from. Actually, one thing with that, if your story is part of multiple series, which you will see happen several times, the only way I've found to actually be able to enter in more than one story or more than one series at a time is actually to go to preview, go back to edit, and, you know, add your other series that way. So there's another quick tip for you. If you can't figure out why it's not working, that's how you add a second one or more. I don't know why it won't let you pick more than one at a time, but that's how you do it. So, I know this has been a little long, but I hope that this has answered any questions you may have had as to why things weren't posting the way you were trying to get them to post. Or if you're new to AO3 and haven't posted a fic yet, but you really, really want to, hopefully this has given you a good overview of how to go about doing that. If you have any questions at all, leave a message. If there's anything you want me to go over in more detail, if you have, suggestions, let me know. I am new to this YouTube thing, and I am open to suggestions as to what y'all would like me to talk about. I'm planning on doing a couple more of these kind of demonstration tutorial things, going into entering in pictures or adding in pictures or videos to your works, because I have seen several authors that have had problems with that in the past. So I thought that might be a good thing to go over as well in a future video. But otherwise, I thank you all for sticking with me this long. I hope I was helpful, and I will see you next time.